What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolia again, talking about buying real estate, $50 at a time. If you haven't been following my channel, I've been just experimenting with some fractional real estate investing. Little background on me, I've been a real estate agent for almost 20 years and also investing in properties that same period of time. My day job is helping investors find properties here in San Antonio, Texas. I still strongly believe in buying properties, whole properties in real life, but I think that there's a lot of use cases for buying small pieces. Being able to buy these, I in the last few videos, I picked up properties in other Texas cities, also a little bit of one in Tennessee. Today, I'm going to be looking in Illinois and maybe Ohio. I think that that's the real benefit of this platform. And so, um, so far my focus has really been on trying to show you the types of due diligence I do on properties. Um, you know, Trying to explain what you should and shouldn't be looking at. I've been doing a lot of research on how other people are using sites like Lofty, and Lofty is the one I've been focused on the most. I will be joining a couple other sites. Ones I'm considering are BrickSave, Landa Homes, um, Real Shares, and Arrived Homes. If anyone has any other suggestions, though, I'm really interested in hearing what platforms people are working on. I have also put some money into ground floor already. I did a short video about that. I'll be doing updates as anything interesting happens with that money, but that was a more just a lump sum auto investment, and so not a whole lot to talk about. One of the things that I realized I've been misunderstanding about the platform is the tax reporting that goes on. I was operating on some older information where they had been giving out K1s for the properties, each property. Now I've been told that you actually get a Form 1099, and just a single Form 1099, regardless of where your properties are, how many properties you have, and all of that. I think that that makes, one of the rules that I've been using unimportant. I was looking for properties in states with no state income tax. I don't think that really matters anymore, and I haven't fully figured that out yet. So as always, talk to your tax professional if you're concerned about where you have to pay taxes. But I was a little worried it was going to trigger filing returns in states. And like I mean, if you look like I only have one share of this property at the end of the year, I might have $4 or something. I don't want to file a return for that. Um, and so I was being careful to pick states with no personal income tax. I don't necessarily think that's an issue anymore. But again, I mean, that's something that you're going to want to look at to be sure about. I've done enough research that I'm comfortable. I'm actually just going to start buying in some other places. But, it's something that you want to be sure about for yourself. If I end up paying, having to file extra tax forms this year and then divest, I mean, it won't be the end of the world. But so I'd encourage you to read, this is Lofty's own site where they provided some info about, the 1099s and what they're doing. Definitely a different situation than if we're getting all these separate K1s, which I believe is how they used to do it. And I was basing my information on what they had done in the past and didn't realize that this had changed. Obviously I think I've been really open about this. I'm very new to Lofty in general, not new to real estate at all, but new to using some of these platforms. And so there's going to be a learning curve. Hopefully I can make some of these mistakes so that you don't have to. That going back to my old catchphrase, right, when I was building the container home. But you have to, one of the things that I'm always going to try to make the conservative decision where I'm being a little bit overly cautious. That's how I approach my business in general, and I think it's, being, you could say, well, no, I'm not really because I YOLO'd into a couple of these properties, and I'm going to do a little bit more of that today, and I'll explain why. But it is, for me, making like this, even though it says that the current value is 502, I really only bought $280 worth of these tokens, or I really only spent that. Um, I think that that's a risk level I'm perfectly happy with, right? And today, because I know I can start picking up one, or because I'm comfortable now picking up multiple, properties in multiple states, it opens up a lot of these what I would consider just to be discounted tokens that are cheaper than they should be relative to the value of the real estate. And so because of that, I'm going to start experimenting more with a strategy that's very different from what I was doing before, or although it is how I ended up with this one 445 Lipford. Um, I'm going to do, I've picked out a few properties that I found that currently have discounted tokens. So tokens that are, at a significant discount to what I believe the property value is. These are all properties in markets that I would not recommend investing in. They're, Chicago is actually not shrinking terribly fast, but it's a little bit. Um, Both Akron and oh wait, do I just have two? Oh, I just have two Chicago ones. I had picked out a bunch, and then did a little bit of research, weeded it down to these. So like I said, I'm doing a little bit more due diligence before starting my recording. Just because going over a lot of the same stuff I think is probably just a little bit boring. I've put out some really long videos. I don't think I want to continue to do that unless I get some feedback that you're really getting something out of me doing the same things every time. But so uh, you know what I am going to do on all the ones that I do this with, I'm going to limit it to really small investments. I'm going to buy maybe 10 tokens a piece on properties like this. But it will give me the opportunity to get really wide diversification with not a lot of money. Um, and with the goal of I feel I'd never buy properties like this. I've always been very opposed to. I have a good friend that owns properties in Akron, quite a few actually, I think, and it's been a market where I don't think it makes a lot of sense to own whole properties and to have long-term investments. Because values have been really flat over a long period of time that I've looked at that market. Um, you typically get decent rental yields, but a lot of times that one big repair, a couple of capital improvements, and all your money for the last decade goes away. So I don't think that I think markets like this I've always avoided, even though the yields look very attractive on paper. Um, but I think because of the added layer of not just getting the property at a discount, which I don't necessarily think they got a huge discount when buying it, but because of the way the tokens work and these markets are very thin, because I can get a piece of them for so cheap relative to what I believe the underlying value is, uh, I think that there's an additional opportunity created by this platform that I don't want to ignore. I think that it's something that um, when I started off talking about this site, it's something that investors can do when they have a small amount of money prior to getting involved in real estate themselves. You might not even have enough money to house hack, which is, I think, how almost every investor should get started. You might not be able to buy a whole property in a market that makes sense, that has a growing population, that has strong fundamentals. But you might have, $250, $1,000, whatever it is, that you can start buying some tokens, collecting rent, and um, y- you know, have owning an actual piece of real estate in a small way, but to sort of create that identity of being a real estate investor and being someone who puts your money to work for you. Um, and so with that in mind, I am just going to do for these ones that I'm not, I'm really looking at more of a token investment than the real estate investment. I'm not going to do a bunch of videos like this because I think this is how a lot of the other people on YouTube are looking at this, and so it is. I don't think I'm adding as much value. I'm going to go back to my regular format of doing some serious due diligence on properties as a whole, going forward. But I just want to take a few peek at these, and I think that I'm probably going to pick up some. So let's already looked at the valuation. Looked through this information, and again, I wouldn't buy anything without looking at all the info as far as every document that they provide. Their neighborhood info doesn't look like the best neighborhood, at least according to Roofstock. Look at the Canary report. Um, they're telling you, well, these are less accurate as 2-unit properties. If you look at, that House Canary report is always what's flowing through to this value here. So they're saying token should be about $49.43. You can see you can get some right now for $26.99. This is what I've gone through and looked for ones where there's some opportunity there. But so I just want to look at a couple of third-party sites, just to double check that House Canary value, right? So I'm going to go to Zillow first. Yeah, I'm going to go to Zillow first. I've mentioned a few times, it's not my favorite, but it is one that it's everywhere, right? And so they're at least somewhat consistent. What do we got going on here? I just said it's everywhere, and now is it not? So I say it's everywhere. What they're allowed to publish in different states may be different, and I've never looked in Illinois. So let's go back. Let's look at Homestock. Oh, this is interesting. Maybe we're not even going to be able to do this level. And if we have to count on, wow. Okay, so homes.com says this is worth 471,000. There's no way that's right. So let's go back to what we were looking at here. Oh, no. Okay, never mind. I'm getting properties confused. So the House Canary price says it's 518. Okay, so we're, you know, 471. Yeah, we're about $50,000 off, 10%. Um, it's not nothing, but again, like, okay, even if we're getting, so let's do some simple math again, right, on this one. What's our 26.99 is what we're going to pay if we buy these times 10,484 tokens. That's this number here. And so, if we're buying at this token price, plus times 1.01, oh, not 1.5055, that seems to be what we're paying in transaction fees. So that gets us up to 300,000. So you can see, even if this 471 is correct, we're still creating a bunch of, where'd my calculator go? We're still creating we've got 171,000. And so if you liquidate it today, you probably, lose another 40 or 50K. But I mean, you're still getting some true value from there, right? And so I want to try to find um, a second valuation. I'm just surprised that Zillow is not giving me his estimate for it, and I wonder why that is. Yeah, brought up the same one again. Let's see if we click on. So they have a couple. Let's look at this. So Redfin estimate 435. Okay, last sold August, and for 449 a couple years ago. Did it look about the same as it looks now? It seems like it kind of did. Okay. So let's go back to here. And that's really all I want to do, right? I'm just, for these ones that I'm going to be buying pieces of. And these are interesting. Whenever they were built originally, thinking there were going to be multiple row homes, and the rest didn't. They look crazy, but uh, I don't mind that here. I mean, obviously there's a market for it. Um, and so my long-term goal for these, I'm not really sure if I'm going to try to trade tokens. So I talked about, I think that there's some mispricing going on. I don't know that I mentioned today why that is. So this is a property. It is currently rented. They have a lease in place, but they're not paying out rent because they had a capital call, or they had a they're actually not a capital call, but they're refilling their operating reserve that they had to spend, and so because of that, there is there's people that are like, hey, I bought these for rental yield. I'm not getting rental yield. I want to sell them. And I think that's perfectly legitimate if that's their goal, but it creates opportunity for us. Oh, you do not own any tokens in this property. Oh yeah, I'm not trying to sell. I'm trying to buy some. And that's all I'm doing. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to try to buy. Um, I think I think just 10 tokens of all of these. So 10. I'm going to do a limit order. Um, Using my Lofty wallet. Now I've finally figured out how to get this to be a default. Um, I feel like, yeah, this is how you can see there's sell orders for 26.99, and so that's what I'm going to do. 26.99. Fees on this end up being 14.85, and so that's the 3% platform fee, and just getting that operating reserve again. All right, I'm going to preview this order and just go straight into submitting it, I think. Again, not a huge sum of money. I don't mind taking a little risk on this one, so I'm going to submit that. See if I can get one of these to actually go through while I'm videoing. So far, every single one has failed. Um, we'll see what happens. I think there's something about doing the video while I'm doing the order. Yeah, because they just get hung up and they don't seem to go. So probably just going to have to go back and do these after the fact. Um, I want you to just sit here and watch while that spins. So I'm just going to go to the next one. So this is one in Akron, Ohio. It's a much this market is really has really been this one's super speculative. This market has been shrinking for a long time. Um, but they do have really good yields when you have someone in the property. But so let's see. This one is, total market cap 105,000. But if we look at what are the tokens worth, right? 27.25 times 150. So we're looking at this property at $53,000. And so that's what makes this one attractive. Again, you want to look through all the on-platform info that they give you. One of the things that I think is interesting to me, I would just never buy these properties in real life because I've never liked the hassle of these sort of really cheap, maybe they're good cash flow, but you run into problems, a lot of work for the amount of money. I mean, if you look at like your rent amount is 850 a month, which is just so low. In my mind, it's hard to make money with that. I'm going back to just see how that. Oh, look at that. That order went through. Interesting. Just took a long time. And so, I think that it's given me an opportunity to buy, a type of real estate that I wouldn't normally. And so I'm going to do just the same couple of checks on this. I'm going to look at it on homes.com. Um, I think the other thing I had mentioned, is walking down the street, and this is one I think I'm going to do a street view too because it is much less clear. Okay, so homes.com value 86,000. Lower than our house canary price, but again, significantly higher than the price that we just calculated when looking at it on a token basis. Um, Last sale, 9,000, Does it look exactly like it is now? Let's take a look. That's one thing. If they bought it for that cheap, I want to see like, well, did they do anything to it? That looks really similar. Hmm. Okay, so that gives me some pause. Like, why? Nope. Where's this market value coming from? Is it just, prices increasing in the area? So far, I'm not super excited about this, right? This is lower than what we thought, but it also, they bought it 2.5 years ago for 59.7. It looks like it's exactly the same home. Let's look at Redfin and see if they have what they think. And I mean, I wasn't super excited about Akron to begin with. Oh, but see, Redfin gives it a good estimate, 97. Hmm. Let's see if we can get Zillow to come up on here for this one. Uh, okay, well, and Zillow gives it this. So even though I like Homes.com the most, it's not that far off. 86, 98, 93. Um, and again, I mean that's as far as I'm going with these. Checking those out. Doing the on-site due diligence. I am kind of curious about a street view on this one. But again, I mean, I'm treating this more. This is a token purchase for me. This is not a full due diligence as if I'm trying to own the property, even though I am getting a piece of it. I'm relying more on the geographic diversification, just the sheer diversification of buying just a little bit of a whole bunch of different properties. Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah, this street isn't terrible looking. Haven't noticed, any graffiti yet. Not at least the street itself is not full of parked cars. Not going to do too much on here, but it is, it's a reasonable looking neighborhood. Um, Not a bunch of trash dumped on this dead end, which is a really good sign because that's, very common in certain areas. So, all right, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just look at the order book. What do we got here? 2725. Um, Now, obviously, when you compare this to the one we just bought, this one actually looks a little bit worse, right? But that I'm not trying to make as strong of a value judgment here. I'm just trying to pick up a whole bunch of these, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get another 10 tokens of this one, and it'll be interesting to see how this works out. I don't know. No, I want to do a limit order again. In my Lofty wallet is going to be my default. Uh, let's see, look at this again, and there's 2725 is what I'm going to do for price, 2725. And one thing that I could do too is put an even lower limit order out there and then just see are people going to buy it. But I just don't want to tie it up that way. Um, okay, yeah, clear that. I'd like to just, move fast and get these bought. I don't want to have like a bunch of open limit orders. Okay, that 3% fee again, and then the rest of the fund's going to the operating reserve. So I am good with this. Preview that order. Make sure it's coming out of my Lofty wallet. Just 10 tokens, 2715, 200. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and submit that order. And then I'm going to look at one more. Um, and I guess I'm just going to let that think because, we saw that took a while. And this is the last one. It's another Chicago property. This one, kind of is one that really got me starting to think about this. It looks like such a solid older property. I was very surprised, and obviously not a beautiful high end property, but it is This is the kind of real estate I actually really like. I spent a lot of time in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, and seeing just some of the older properties. We don't get those as much here in Texas. Let's see. Oh yeah, looking like this order book. Yeah, they have this had tokens for $25, and this is what started making me really think like, well, why do I want to buy these so much, right? I was doing some due diligence on this one. I really want to. This one's a duplex, so there is, there's going to be decent cash flow, but it's again that situation where it's, they're working to fill up the operating reserve. It's going to take a long time, so there's not going to be any rent for a long time. But to me, that's not the end of the world. I think that it certainly doesn't make me think that it should be worth half of what, the underlying property should be worth. And I think that's what we keep seeing, and I don't think that that makes a lot of sense. So 286.4 is that house canary price. And again, just gonna do the same thing, right? Just check do a little bit of third party verification, and see what we come up with. Uh, Looks like this is it right here. Through 196,005. So that is significantly below what we just looked at, right? Let's see. Oh, and that one went through. That's good. Let's see. Do that order book again. 286. Wow, how are we so far off? 55.41. Last sale 245 in 2021, and they think it went down 20% since then. That's really interesting. Let's see what it looked like when they bought it. Looks like it's pretty similar to the current condition. That's shocking to me that they think it went down in value so much. But even at 196, what are we talking about buying this for? That we might hit a point where that's too low, but let's take a look. So $25 times 5728. Again, just the number of total tokens. 143,000. So then what are they saying here? 196,000. So some value, but certainly not as much as what House Canary thinks. So let's take a look at Redfin, see if we can do the same thing. Oh, Redfin says 137. That's really interesting. And let's look at one more. And it's funny because this is one that I thought, looked really attractive. And so, but so far, no good, right? We've gotten two. Oh, but then Zillow thinks it's 272, which is more in line with the House Canary. And that's really interesting. Oh, and so this estimate doesn't have square feet, beds, or baths. Let's see what this one has. Has square feet, 7 beds, but no mention of baths. Hmm. But so 190, I mean, this one's just terrible, but it also seems like they just don't have the data. Um, this one I don't love, but it's still a discount. And then Zillow is a pretty good discount, and the House Canary. And so one of the things we're going to figure out over time is how accurate this valuation is. It's not something I'm really familiar with. When I've really looked at them in general, they seem pretty good to me. They do mention, for they're less accurate on 2-unit properties like this one. Um, this one says 210, but is this the older one? All right, we're gonna find the date on this. I know. Yeah, date. Oh, this is 5/30/24. So wait a minute. Why is that usually? So okay, I wonder if I'm misunderstanding something else here. Usually this price, so they're saying 210. Is there, usually that's matching up with their house scenario one, but sometimes they have multiple of those reports. So let me look and see. Saying 255 there. I mean, even the 210, like, I mean, we have a discount to that, but I'm confused at where that's coming from. Um, even though that's the case, I think that why can't I back up there? Hmm. Um, that's like again, like what I'm doing here is I'm just looking for the discounted tokens. I think that it's clearly some discount to the real estate value, although it's really unclear what that is. But again, I'm just going to pull the trigger on this. Making a small investment, and maybe this is a strategy that for a lot of people, maybe you go and buy $50 tokens of these. Just one token of each one. It depends a lot on how much you're trying to get invested. I'm hoping to put a significant amount of money into these sites over the next couple of years, and to really be able to help clients and be like, no, yes, this is something I think you should do, or no, it's not. And so far, like I said, I'm not sure I know the right answer. Um, I'm going to look at that one more time. I keep distracting me. Okay, $25 token. So I'm just going to buy 10 of these again. 10 tokens. Going to do a limit order using my Lofty wallet, USDC, changing these to $25. Expire in 30 days. Fees, always looking at these fees. I think that this is going to be consistent, that it's 3%, and then operating reserve. Preview that order. 60 and submit. And so I'm sure that's going to take a little while. But I think that we should probably already see those first two here. Yep. And I just have to go through and I click and sign these owner agreements. I don't want to do that while I'm on here. I bet this one will go through soon and then we'll see it. But so as I mentioned, again, this is not the way I look at real estate that I'm going to buy in real life. At first I thought that this is not how I'd approach this platform, but the more I really think about it, I think there are two opportunities. I think there's the opportunity to make the long-term investment in properties that I'm going to hold those tokens forever, and that's what I'm going to primarily focus on. Although so far I found a lot more of this second opportunity, which is tokens that are just trading at a discount to what I think the actual real estate's worth. Um, I think it'll be interesting to see which strategy does better over the long run. One, I think, is going to require a lot more churning than the other. But it's still, I think they're both legitimate. One is that I think I'll add a lot more value by really helping you analyze properties. But the other is one that's just a fun experiment for me, and will be interesting to see like how we do over time. Again, I'm not telling you, I think these are great investments or anything. It's really up to you to do your due diligence. I'm clearly making some mistakes on the platform. I'm trying to just go through it and learn, and maybe, hopefully help some other people who plan on using it. Um, as I learn more, I think I'll be able to add not just real estate, specific, information to help you out, but hopefully I'm learning some things on the platforms that'll help you as well. Until next time, I'm going to go back to it because I keep making mistakes. So until next time, I'll just keep making mistakes so that you don't have to. Have a good one.